Hello, hello. My name is Jones, and today we are going to look at introduction to immunology. Okay, this is a topic in microbiology, and it is meant to supplement our lesson in pharmacology. To understand and appreciate pharmacology, it's important that we also appreciate the target pathogens and the target immune system through which these drugs work. So, when you're talking about immunology, we are simply looking at how the body is able to defend itself before you put in any drug to assist. Okay, so so the outline will be like we'll look at immunity, introduction, types of immunity, of which we have the innate immunity, acquired immunity, natural immunity, and the artificial immunity. So, by definition, immunity refers to the resistance that is exhibited by the host towards infection caused by microorganisms and other products or toxins. This is based on the property of self and non-self recognition. So when it says based on the property of self, we are looking at self being the host and the non-self being the pathogen or the toxins. Okay, so that means when you say immunity is carried out by the process of recognition and disposal of non-self or materials that enter the body. Immune response is the reaction of the body against any foreign antigen. But protection against infection disease is only a part of it. What is immunology? So the word immune, coming from the Latin word immunus, simply means to be free. Okay, so people survived calamity of epidemic diseases when faced with the same disease again. The study of a physiological mechanism that humans and other animals use to defend their bodies from invading organisms is what we call immunology. Okay, so immunus means to be free. Okay, so to be free, logi looking at now the study. Okay, study to be free from what? Here, yes, to be free from infection. So now the study of the physiological mechanism that humans and other animals use to defend their bodies from invading organisms is what we refer to as immunology. Okay, so what are we trying to be free from when we say immunus in Latin? So we are trying to be free from bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites, and toxins. Okay, so immunoglobulins. So immunoglobulin or Ig, okay, so these are antigen binding molecules of B cells. Okay, when we talk of immunoglobulins, we are just talking about antigen binding molecules that come from B cells. Vaccination, okay, when we talk of vaccination, we are necessarily looking at the deliberate induction of a protective immunity to that is immunity to a pathogen. So deliberate induction of a protective immunity to a pathogen so that when you introduce this vaccination, okay, someone will achieve immunity. Immunization. This is the ability to resist infection. So after vaccination, an individual or the host may acquire immunity. Okay, may acquire immunity against that infection, meaning may acquire the necessary antigen, okay, antigen antibody reaction that is required to fend off that infection. So immunization, you now have the ability to resist that infection. Okay, now let us look at cells of the immune system. So many cells of the immune system are derived from, or they are derived, made from the bone marrow. So we have the hematopoietic stem cell differentiation here, okay, where we look at the pluripotent stem cell, okay, where we have the lymphoid stem cells that will differentiate into T lymphocytes, okay, and then from the thymus there we have the NK lymphocytes, and then we have the B lymphocytes, and then from the B lymphocytes then we have the plasma cells. Okay, then when you talk of myeloid stem cells, they are able to differentiate into erythrocytes, megakaryocytes, or for blood clotting there. Then they are able to differentiate in monocytes. And the monocytes, when they reach the site of infection, okay, they become stationary and they are known as macrophages. Okay, then they can also differentiate in the granulocyte. So this is how the cells are differentiate. Okay, so immune cells includes, when you're talking of the immune cells, okay, what they include, okay, so it includes, okay, so let me just try to put this slide nicely, okay. So they include lymphocytes, natural killer cells, mononuclear, phagocytes, dendritic cells, eosinophils, basophils, and neutrophils. So these are the cells of the immune system. Okay, so now lymphocytes, many types, important in both humoral and cell-mediated immunity. So when you talk of B cells, produce antibodies. When you talk of T cells, we have cytotoxic T cells, and we have helper T cells. Then we also have, under the T cells, we have memory cells. Okay, then plasma cells, that is in tissue, among still talking about lymphocytes, we have the fully differentiated B cells that secrete antibodies, and then we also have natural killer cells. So these are the Q cells infected with certain viruses. Then we have both innate and adaptive immunity. Then we have antigen presentation. Monocytes or macrophages. So when you talk of phagocytosis and killing of microorganisms, okay, we have the activation of T cells and initiation of the immune response. So monocyte is a young macrophage in blood, okay. Then there are tissue-specific macrophages, and then we have the antigen presentation. Dendritic cells, okay, this is the activation of T cells and it initiates adaptive immunity. Found mainly in lymphoid tissue. It functions as antigen presenting cells, okay, and most potent stimulator of T cell response. Mast cells, these awaken the expulsion of parasites through release of granules. Okay, like we have histamine, leukotrienes, chemokines, and cytokines that are released by mast cells in the fight of infection or foreign outcome. Also, they are involved in allergic responses. Neutrophils, okay, cytoplasmic granule. They have a cytoplasmic granule. Of course, this one has been shown here in the diagram. Okay, they work in phagocytosis. Okay, they have a short lifespan and very important at clearing bacterial infections and work in innate immunity. Eosinophils, this one kills antibody-coated D parasites through degranulation. It's involved in allergic inflammation, a granulocyte, double-lobed nucleus, orange granules containing toxic compounds. Of course, this is what we are trying to illustrate in a diagrammatic way. Basophils might be blood mast cells, that is, cell-killing cells. Blue granules contain toxic and inflammatory compounds. Okay, so that's a blue granule. They are important in a red key reaction. Other blood cells, we have megakaryocytes, okay, where we have platelet formation and wound repair. Okay, then we have erythrocytes, which are responsible for oxygen transport. Thank you very much for listening to this lesson. We have been looking at introduction to immunity, and main objective was to explain immunity, okay, types of immunity that are there. Okay, so that has been our lesson. So thank you very much, and I see on the topic where I'll be talking something similar, but talking about we'll be talking about types of immunity.